Alright, 12.1, talking about beginning a small business. So it starts out by saying that sometime in your life you'll either be employed by a small business, most likely, or become this fancy word, entrepreneur, which simply means fancy word for someone who starts a business. Now you'll read the lesson, but there's just a few things I want to talk about. Don't get too confused by the terms. So capital. If you start a business, one of the things you will want is capital. Capital is just a fancy word for money. All right? Money that you have. There's two types of capital that are used when you start a business. You have the owner capital, or basically the money that you're putting into it. And then you have creditor capital. And that's the money, obviously, that someone else put into it. If you want to start, according to the book, if you want to start a good solid business, 2/3 of your capital, at least 2/3 of your capital, should be owner capital, or your money. All right, so 2/3 of the money used to start the business should be yours if you want to begin it on a solid base. According to standard business ratio simply means what the average person makes for their amount sold. So according to standard business ratio, this is in your book, you have a $1 profit on every $20 of sales. All right. These are all things you want to keep in mind when you're starting this business, because if you're selling $20 worth of items till you take out all your payroll, your rent, all that, you're netting, according to standard business ratio, you're netting $1 most likely out of $20 of sales. So if you start a business and you say, I want to walk away with $20,000 cash by the end of the year, your business must have a minimum of $400,000 in sales in order to make you this, which this is 5%, by the way. $1 out of 20 would be 5%. So if your business makes standard business ratio sales, you're going to need to make $400,000 a year to make $20,000 net profit or cash. Now, we're just going to go into the questions a little bit. Hopefully that made sense. This lesson isn't real hard. It's just that they use some words that sound difficult, but they're actually things you're common with. Make sure you pay attention to the list of expenses to begin a new business. They just have a list of some things that it might take and some of the monthly expenses a business might have. So they're going to want to know this whole thing about having 2/3 or 67% owner's capital. In the first part, they're going to ask you, find what percent of the owner's capital is capital needed. In other words, does he have the capital it takes to start on a solid base? So number one, we have they need $40,000 worth of capital to start this business is what they need. The owner has $30,000 worth of capital, and you need to figure out what percent is 30,000 of 40,000. So you simply divide 30,000 by 40,000, and you can get rid of all these zeros. It should come out to 0.75. So this owner has 75% capital to start this business, which would be plenty because that's well over the 67% that they're projecting would be a solid start. All right, that's how that first part will be. Now, the second part, find 5% net profit on the following sales. Sales on number 5 are $500,000. And obviously, you just take this times 5%, and you should come up with $25,000 net profit. Maybe I'll just do one word problem. Yep. Let's just randomly pick number 13. Arthur Gray is planning to open a hobby shop which would require $21,000 to start. If he has $16,000, what percent of the capital must he borrow? Find the answer to the nearest whole percent. So you can do this two ways. You can find out what percent he has and then subtract that from 100, or you can find out what he needs, which is how I'm going to do it, and then find what percent that is. So he needs 21,000. This is similar to the first part you did. He needs 21,000. He has 16,000, so he still needs $5,000. So what percent of that is that of 21,000? Take your 5,000 divided by $21,000, and you should come out to him needing 0.24 or 24% capital. So apparently he has 76%, which again is plenty according to the book's numbers. All right, that's how you do that. Shouldn't be too hard if you follow what they want. If there's anything you don't understand, feel free to ask any questions.